meeting to order at 5:15 for Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. On this end, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you for joining us. Mr. Zerlo, would you please conduct a roll call? Certainly. Mr. Castine.
Present.
Mr. Conroy. Here. Mr. Hall. Here. Mr. Henry. Here. Mr. McGill.
Present.
Mr. Perrier.
Here.
Mr. Potiker.
Here.
Mr. Rosenquist. Here. Mr. Timmons.
Here.
Ms. Waldron.
Here.
Full board, Chairman. All right. All legislators have received a copy of the stenographer's minutes of the May 27th, 2020 regular session. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Almost. Yeah, I got Alvin and Bobby Hall. Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
You're muted over there. And I'm muted.
Okay. Terry? For our meeting format, we will not be having a public comment this afternoon. However, members of the public are welcome to express their concerns or comments by emailing us at legislature@clintoncountygov.com.
I can tell you, Chairman, that it is active. Melody checks that email each morning, and I've been responding.
Okay. All right.
There are people complying.
Thank you. Before we go to committee reports, I'd like to welcome Kim Kinbaum to her first full official meeting. Yeah, I don't know if you can see her, but she's lose somebody?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. We will now go to the committee reports. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, committee meetings have been canceled until further notice unless the chairperson opts for an in-person meeting in compliance with mass gathering protocols. Each legislator chairs one of the 10 standing committees, and I will call on the chairperson of each committee in alphabetical order by committee, starting with Buildings and Grounds.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we did have a meeting, and it was in the chambers, and we did adhere to the protocol. And the Building and Grounds Committee met June the 8th. The committee was provided with updates on the government center parking law and the government center engineering. The government center air conditioning is now working, and it was cool that night. And the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Children and Family Services, Legislator Potiker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Department of Social Services continues to provide all critical services to residents of Clinton County, serving approximately 60 to 80 individuals a day through their lobby. The Office of Temporary Disability Assistance advised local districts they are holding the May claim for February expenses. The total claim due was $945,119. Of that, $278,838 is state reimbursement, and $666,281 is federal funds due to Clinton County. Claims are held up in Division of Budget with no anticipated release date. The Children and Family Services Committee was polled on resolution number 355 and 356. End of report.
Thank you very much, Bobby Hall. Just for your information, we've got your video.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Economic Development and County Operations, Legislator Rosenquist.
Hey folks, Anastasia Pratt, the county historian, has been answering queries and honing a list of sites for the virtual map, and she's been working on virtual presentations. James Bosley, the planning tech, returned from furlough June 1st, and the planning department staff has been in contact with CCPP transit manager to talk about what will it take to get CCTT back up and running, considering the number of required safety protocols. The planning board has not met, although there are projects that have come in, and they hope to have a WebEx Zoom. They hope to have a WebEx Zoom meeting in July. All county departments are prepared for stage reopening under Phase 3, and the Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting was pulled on Resolution 357 and 377. End report.
Thank you very much. Finance, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Kimberly Davis, the County Treasurer, reports the Treasurer's Office will no longer be processing school tax payments for the Placer City School District, mainly due to the several changes in staffing unfamiliar with the Placer City School District software. Ms. Davis reached out to the 3 city legislators before making this decision and received their support. The school district was notified of this decision in the report.
Okay, thank you. Health, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Rochelle Gregory, the Director of Community Services, report in the month of June, clinicians are on site 50% of the time. They continue to utilize telecounseling and bill out for their full 35 hours with a combination of being on site and at home. Clinicians will be back on with site for 100% of their starting the first week in July. They are uncertain of the ending time for the state waivers for telecounseling. The department remains open from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. They will be unable to expand to full operating hours pre-COVID-19, which includes offering evening and Saturday hours. They are accommodating needs of appointments in evening and Saturday via teleconferencing as needed. With the use of telecounseling, they have seen over a 17% drop in their no-show rate and have some of the highest billable weeks to date. The Health Committee was pulled on Resolutions 358. And I believe Mr. Canosa is here with us this evening to give us a further update on the COVID situation.
Yes, ma'am, he is, and he is prepared to do that.
Thank you, Patty.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Chairman.
welcome, Glenn.
I'll start with a numbers update. I'm happy, proud, and pretty well at ease with reporting that our case numbers are holding steady. No new lab confirmed positive cases in at least 9 days. And also, very important, no new lab confirmed positive cases at CVPH for the last 4 days, I believe. So we stand pat at 104 total positive lab confirmed cases in Clinton County. To date, 101 of those 104 are recovered. Similarly, probable cases stand at 88 right now. 85 of those are now recovered. Total Clinton County residents tested to date, 6,625. That's a pretty big number. The hospital continues to do stellar testing work, and we're hoping we can keep that going. We continue to assist with Phase 2 safe reopening of businesses. As part of that, we're implementing now with the outdoor dining opening for a lot of restaurants. We're doing inspections at those restaurants that have outdoor dining, primarily focused on just the public health hazards, the red zone violations. Environmental Health and Safety Division and Buildings and Grounds staff are also completing county office inspections for general compliance with COVID-19 related safety requirements. Going quite well. We are continuing planning with CVPH for possible county testing site or mobile testing unit. The new plan today, as I heard from Eric Day, is that New York State they're looking into contracting with 4 or 5 Kinney drugstores in the North Country, in our big region, to do state-sponsored testing for all the communities in the North Country. We're hoping it goes that way. That would be solid. Get what we need in terms of testing with the state offering such. So that would be the best of both worlds. SUNY Plattsburgh has submitted their student health and counseling safety and response plan, so they're getting worked up for that. Dr. Yeti, president of SUNY, will be submitting the various plans for what they're looking at in terms of reopening in the fall that they're submitting to the SUNY chancellor. Continuing work and discussions, plan reviews for a number of school graduation celebrations. As you recall, the first approved scenario from the state health department was a car drive-in, drive-through type of scenario. 3 days later, the state came across with 150 or less participant graduation ceremonies being allowed, of course, including social distancing and face mask wearing. And the schools are definitely looking at that better, more typically normal type of graduation ceremony, maybe having 2 ceremonies so that families can also come. Or they're looking at a hybrid. I'm understanding that Peru and El Sable Valley are looking at a hybrid where the kids stand on the field 6 feet apart and the parents stay in their cars or on the hoods of their cars keeping social distancing. So that's a work in progress and remains to be seen. We have looked at the draft Phase 3 reopening guidelines. Those include food services, restaurants, and personal services, canning, nail salons, massage therapy. The one consistent item with those type of Phase 3 reopenings is that they're to start with their reopening only allowing 50% maximum capacity when they do start to reopen. As I understand from Eric Day today, nursing homes, the twice-weekly testing that they've been going through for their staff has been revised by New York State to be once weekly, so that'll take a big burden off our county nursing home and all the other nursing homes that are in our area. I'm happy to report no positive cases to date for any of the nursing home staff. Our staff, correct. And nursing home resident testing is ongoing as we speak. Today we had I call it a really solid press conference with Chairman Mark Henry, Dr. Davey from Champlain Valley Educational Services, and myself presenting. One of the questions Mark Henry had a lot of questions that he answered regarding Phase 3 opening, different parts, different details asked by the public when we were doing our Facebook Live. One of the big questions that we did receive is the public. We got a couple questions on being concerned about the recent protest that we had in the city last Saturday and the potential for new cases occurring. All I can say, I wish I had a crystal ball, is that we have top-notch surveillance and ongoing right now, and we're talking to the hospital every day. So we're paying attention to the timeline on that. 5 to 7 days is when you first can start to see cases. So we're also working. I worked with on Monday at Plattsburgh Farmers Market to help them, Julie Bond, prepare their safety plan for reopening of the Farmers Market building. She's looking at proposed only half of those vendors that she has in that building will be in that building at the time. Normally they can have 22. She's looking at 7 or 8 vendors in that building, appropriately spaced and with arrows on the floor, telling the public, enter this way, exit this way, one-way flow, keeping all the doors open for constant airflow. So it's a really good plan, and I did copy my details with the Farmers Market, Julie Bond, to the mayor so that he also knows. Finally, as COVID-19 active cases and related work has decreased in the last few weeks, we've been able to work to catch up with the bulk of our core and grant-related work as we also maintain our close connection, close surveillance for the COVID-19 work that we're doing. That being surveillance, contact tracing, and most importantly, communication with our partners. We can't do it alone. It's so critical. We've worked so well with all of our partners at other county departments, emergency services, the hospital, the doctors, providers. It's gone very well so far, and that's probably the biggest plus that is going to be coming out of this, is the relationships we have established. So that's it from me. If you have any questions.
Any questions for John? All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Take care now.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Anything more from you, Patty?
No, just that I really appreciate all the work the health department and John Canosa's team has been doing, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next would be Human Services with Legislator Conroy.
Yes, Darlene Collins, the Director of the Office for Aging, reports every year in July that their office, along with community partners, distribute farmers market coupons to eligible individuals ages 60 and over. The intent of this program is to support local farmers and provide low-income older adults with access to local food produce. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, they'll be modifying how they distribute coupons this year. Traditionally, they distribute coupons directly from the office at congregate meal sites and through Plattsburgh Housing Authority and JCEO staff. The Office for the Aging is typically crowded when coupons become available. This year, they'll be distributing coupons from the office, and the meal sites are closed. They anticipate hosting drive-through pickup locations where coupons can be distributed with minimal contact. Once the client has possession of the coupons, they are able to use a proxy to send them. They will look housing managers and get CEO to assist with distribution. Clinton County has received 800 booklets that each contain 5 $4 coupons, making the value of each booklet $20. Distribution is expected to begin on July 13th. Human Services Committee was polled on Resolution 369. End of report.
Thank you very much. For personnel, I will do personnel. The Department of Personnel has postponed the June 13th examination in accordance with state civil service guidance. The department is continuing to monitor the employees on furlough and working with the departments to ensure their operational needs are still being met. Kim Kinbaum is working closely with some members of the health department, superintendent of buildings and grounds, and CSEA union to ensure that each department has adequate adequate safe reopening plans in place. The Personnel Committee was polled on resolutions number 360 through 364. That's the end of my report. Plattsburgh International Airport, Legislator Hall.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Plattsburgh International Airport Committee met Friday, June 5th. All 3 airlines continue to operate on a reduced schedule. Allegiant has 4 to 5 flights per week. SkyWest has 1 flight per day. They are expected to resume 2 flights per day beginning in July. And Spirit has 3 flights per week. Airlines continue to adjust schedules based on passenger bookings. There has been a slight increase in passenger traffic. The airport restaurant is open when all flights are going out and coming in. The airport director is waiting to hear when the airport annual FAA certification inspection will be conducted. Our CARES Act grant for $2.2 million was received from the FAA. The county is waiting for further guidance from the FAA on submitting reimbursement requests. Plattsburgh International Airport Committee discussed resolutions 365 through 367, 374 at its meeting of June 5th. End of report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Public Safety, Legislator Castine.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Probation Department reports that with the start of Phase 2, they are seeing more high and greatest risk probationers in the office. Probation officers are still in the field daily. Upon request of the Health Department, Probation Director Dave Marcoux submitted a full reopening plan to them for consideration, taking into account social distancing guidelines. All members of the public are being screened with questions before entering and are required to wear a face mask. Workflow is starting to increase from the courts, and they are now slowly handling more cases. Plattsburgh City and Justice Courts will also be increasing cases next week. So the department should continue to see a steady increase in new cases coming from the local courts. End of report.
Thank you very much. Transportation, Legislator McGill.
Yes. The highway crews have completed spring cleanup work. Roadside mowing has started. Shoulder cutting and culvert replacement work has also begun. Paving work should begin in mid-July. Customer requests for ditching, driveway culverts, and other complaints are being addressed when crews are available. Luck Brothers have completed the temporary water main on the Gatto Road and placed it into service. The existing water main on the Harney Bridge will be shut down and removed. And all water main work will be coordinated with the town of Plattsburgh. Asbestos paint abatement has been completed on the bridge railings. The bridge deck is now being saw cut and prepared for removal. Existing Tappan Road Bridge superstructure, deck, beams, railings, etc. have been removed. Coffer dams will be installed for the demolition of the existing abutments and installation of new abutments. Preparation work continues for the removal of the Kent Falls Bridge. Barges have been delivered to the site to be used in demolition. CHIPS funding has been released. The Transportation Committee was polled on resolutions number 368 through 370. Final report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, so just to follow up on what Legislator McGill was saying, it was a positive dynamic that the state sent out their annual CHIPS run, including their cold weather supplement. So this is news that although I'm sure your local supervisors and highway superintendents are aware of, it may be something that you may want to pass on, and I have the the amounts if anybody is curious. I will say what Mr. Weiss and I have discussed, because the caveat with the release of funds is saying that the CHIPS funds is still subject to the state's clawback, and as such, we are only programming to spend 80% of our CHIPS allocation. Now, obviously, any township, village, or city can do what they want, but just letting you know that we, at this point, until we hear from the federal government on any potential aid, are working and planning to spend 80% of our allocated CHIPS funding.
Thank you very much. Liaison reports. I know some met, some have not. We'll run through those rather quickly. I have Board of Health. John Canosa just gave that report in addition to the Health Committee. Chamber of Commerce, Legislator Rosenquist.
Yes, sir. The Chamber of Commerce met last Friday, and we discussed an updated marketing plan. The thing that I believe a lot of people are excited about is the change in marketing focus is really going to be towards local shoppers shopping local shops. Where before a lot of the marketing that the chamber focused on was bringing people into our region. So we're really looking at growing the local, shop local first kind of marketing. Other than that, the chamber's doing great, good partner to us, and really working hard for our community.
Thank you. And also, Chris, Clinton Community College.
Their board meeting is next week, and I'll have a report next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Community Services Board, Legislator Conroy.
No report.
Thank you. Cooperative Extension, Legislator Timmons.
No report.
Discipline Review is, we have no report there. Grievance Committee, also no report. Inter-County, Legislator Waldron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Inter-County met for the first time since January via Zoom. Bill Farper, the chairman of Hamilton County, hosted the meeting. We also had, for our guest speakers, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik was there to give us a federal update, as well as Mark Bean of Bean Communications. And his message was to the Adirondacks as far as be prepared for more second home buyers, and how the nation will be moving in a remote in a remote world now. If they can work remotely, they're going to be moving out of the urban areas, and something that we would be hoping to market to. And really, we passed a resolution regarding the height of cell towers in the Adirondack. End of report.
All right, thank you. And also, Patty, LCLG Regional Planning Board?
No report.
Okay. Soil and Water, either Francis or Legislator Timmons?
No report.
Workforce Development Board, Legislator Rosenquist?
Yes, sir. Our quarterly meeting is happening on Friday. In report.
Mr. Rosenquist, just if you haven't heard, the latest, most recent funding slowdown for WIOA funds has been solved, and everything is in proper order at this point.
That's how smoothly that happens. I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah. So we are working with Sylvie and Social Services, so everybody, and the Treasurer's Office, because as you know, we're the repository for the entire region. So the program did get, the state of New York did release those federal funds.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, go ahead. You have something, Chris?
I just said thank you.
Okay. Staff members, reports? Ms. Kelleher, you have?
No, there is no report tonight.
Okay.
Other than, this is my fault. I should have talked to Jackie. We will be requesting an executive session this evening to discuss the sale and lease of real property at the conclusion of our normal business, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
I have a few items to fill the board in on. I had a New York State Association of Counties board meeting today. And, we still have not heard from the federal government on state and local assistance. It's pretty clear that the HEROES Act, although we support what's in the HEROES Act, is not going to survive any conversation in the Senate. And the feeling is, even though that was simply although well-intended, a beginning of a negotiation. Mr. Chase, the National Association of Counties Executive Director, joined the meeting, and he is optimistic that there will be another stimulus bill. No guarantees, but things are being discussed, amounts are being discussed. The president of the National Association of Counties happens to be from the state of Kentucky, which, as you know, is the state that the majority leader in the U.S. Senate represents. So we're hoping that we are able to convince our federal representatives the importance of state and local directed aid via COVID. It's not going to be $750 billion, but we are estimating somewhere nationally between $150 and $500 billion stimulus package, and it's being delayed. The timing of that, I'm guessing, is they're telling me mid-July to August, which does in fact make local governments' lives more difficult because we won't know the answer. I'm hoping we do, but it's looking less likely that we know the answer on how much federal aid, if any, we will receive as we begin our budget process for 2021. And absent the federal aid, it is going to be a very, very difficult conversation. So I'm going to have to sit down with Kim and Lee and the treasurer soon to come up with ideas on a budget should no federal aid come to fruition. We are hoping that does not happen, but I think it's prudent that we at least have those conversations. Also, the governor released an executive order, I believe, a day or two ago, that modified the 50% staffing for non-essential employees in municipal government. and that is for those municipalities that have met Phase 2 guidelines. So we, for 2 weeks, which we have, we would not be subject to the 50% reduction in workload this Friday. That being said, it is our plan to bring back our staff on an as-needed basis, those that have been furloughed, in an effort to close that gap as much as possible. Kim and I are actively working with departments. The goal is not to handcuff them so they can't do their business, but we are looking at it closely in hopes that we bring these folks back in a staged approach, and which results in a larger savings for the county. I will say, I apologize, I did not talk to the chairman, so I hope I'm not stealing any of his thunder here, but the North Country metrics are the best in the state of New York. Just did. Sorry. There are several good resources if anybody is so inclined. New York Forward and the dashboards and all the metrics and all that stuff is up there. And the North Country statistics continue to be very, very good. And are you talking about Phase 3?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
That's just one of these.
Phase 3, you recall originally the move from Phase 1 to Phase 2. Phase 2 was supposed to happen automatically after 2 weeks of proper metrics. But the governor stepped in at the very last minute and said no, it required his special team to review the statistics and give us an affirmative. That dynamic remains in play for the move from Phase 2 to Phase 3. So although 2 weeks from the beginning of Phase 2 is this Friday, we will still have to receive some sort of overt action from the governor and the state to begin Phase 3. That being said, your county government is prepared to slowly enter Phase 3, and as Mr. Canosa said, the health department has been working with the Chamber of Commerce to ensure that our local businesses are prepared for Phase 3 and have filed the proper certifications with the state of New York. Also, lastly, Resolution 376 in your packet tonight is a resolution urging the state of New York to release federal monies that are due Clinton County. And there's an active push. We talked about it today on the association call. It's very disheartening that not only is the state withholding state money that is due county governments, they're holding federal money, both the FMAP percentage, the enhanced FMAP percentage authorized by the CARES Act, which reduces our local share of Medicaid, and secondly, the previous FMAP reconciliation. Those two things alone account for almost $2 million of federal money that we should be receiving from the federal government, which, as we progress here through the budget season, it is critical that these funds start flowing. So that's what the Resolution 376 is on the agenda this evening. That's all, sir.
Talk about DMV, I'd only have two things to talk about. If I hit DMV?
No, go ahead.
I know you'll jump in though, because I'll get it wrong. Thank you. I just have a couple things to add. As I was sitting here listening to John Canosa and Mike, I was crossing off all the things that I had to talk about. So there's only a couple things left, one of which is I've been asked a few times, I don't know if you have, about when the border might open. Right now it's closed by the federal government, both the U.S. and Canada. I think June 21st is the date that they were talking about not reopening, but when it would be reconsidered. I have no reason to believe that it's going to open up on June 21st. I have no special insight, but it will be obviously up to the federal government.
Gary did send a few emails out this morning referencing some stories from both sides of the border. And the smart money at this point is that there most likely will be an extension.
Yeah.
Although that is not the news we are hoping for.
So again, that will be up to the federal government, both the U.S. and Canadian, and we'll see. So maybe we'll get, as we get closer to the 21st, maybe we'll find out what's going on. We had our weekly Clinton County Path Forward group meeting that John Canoza is on, business leaders, municipal leaders, the Mayor of Plattsburgh, and Michael Cashman, and Jonathan Carmen from the Congresswoman Stefanik was on there.
Your school business.
And, oh yes, and most germane was our district superintendents, Mark Davey, and then Alex Agnetti, Dr. Agnetti from Plattsburgh State, SUNY Plattsburgh, and Ray DiPasquale from the community college. Talked about obviously graduations. That was a hot topic. So they're especially for Dr. Davey, they're scrambling around trying to see what they can do. They have several options. Again, Dr. Davey was with us today when we had the media event. That went very well, as John said, and he discussed graduations, high school graduations, in that forum as well. So graduations are moving forward. I'm also getting some inquiries about gyms. I don't know if you are or not, but I've got a couple, 3. And right now, the best information I can put out to anybody regarding gyms is that it is still scheduled by the governor for phase 4. I don't, however, we ask every day about gyms, literally almost every day about gyms. And whether he's going to move it up to phase 3 or not, I have no idea. I know it's a topic of conversation. I know he's being pushed not only by this county or by me, but by others as well across the state. So gyms are still up in the air. However, it is a topic of conversation. I continue to have phone call meetings every day at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and up until just the other night, 7 p.m. But the 7 p.m. one now has dropped off. So now we're counting it down to 10, 2, and 4. That has to do with the regional control room meeting and then the statewide calls. So we keep moving forward. All of that's related to what's going on in phase 2 and what might be going on in phase 3. And again, phase 3, we are not going to just roll into phase 3 on Friday. The governor will have to announce that we are clear to go for phase 3. As I sit here right now, I have no reason to believe that can't happen. But again, it doesn't do well to get ahead of the governor. So we'll have to wait and see. But as Michael said, all of our numbers are really good across this entire region. So that is always important. I've had some inquiries about Department of Motor Vehicles. Obviously, there are state motor vehicle offices, and they will be controlled by the state. We have county motor vehicle offices, obviously, ours being one of them. People are asking at what date will these offices open. I do not have a date. Michael will know more about this than I, but we don't have a date.
The latest intelligence is that that local motor vehicle offices will open as part of a phase 3 reopening. The little wrinkle there is that since local DMV offices were closed specifically by an executive order, that they will have to be opened by an executive order. So even if now it may be covered in the same executive order, but it is going to require us, the governor, to say yes to that too. Right. The opening plans in conversations with the county clerk, like most county clerks in the state of New York, for the beginning of the reopening, it will be done by appointment only to limit traffic. There is a lot of backlog of traffic, so until we can, get a handle on that, and we do have plans in place, but the best way to avoid backlogs and people congregating in our lobby is to by appointment only in the short term.
Okay, that's all I have. Does anybody got any questions for me right now before we move on? Okay. Before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees, and the legislature is taking action tonight based in large part on the recommendation of the committees. Mr. Zerlo, will you please read the title of the resolution to be acted upon?
Yes, sir. Resolution 354, resolution of the county legislature of the county of Clinton increasing taxes on sales and uses of tangible personal property and of certain services and on occupancy of hotel rooms and on amusement charges pursuant to Article 9 of the tax law of the state of New York.
Motion by legislator Timmons, second by legislator Castine. Discussion.
Yeah, this is a very convoluted title and a convoluted resolution. It is one that we are required to pass, and it needs to be run by New York State Department of Tax and Finance. Regardless of what that title says, this resolution simply authorizes the county to extend its ability to charge its an additional 1%. We in the state budget this year, the authorization for the entire state of New York was granted for 3 years. And as such, we need to pass a local resolution. So this resolution is for our additional 1%. If you recall, 4 goes to the state, 3 goes to the local, and then these resolutions are required to afford local governments the ability to charge the additional 1%. So it really has nothing to do with occupancy and hotel rooms and occupancy tax. And you'll see reference in here to 1967. And that's when the original statute was written, so that's why it looks a little different. But this, in fact, has been vetted by New York State Tax and Finance. And although it's not going to yield as much as we would have liked, this potentially could account for, in a good year, $13 million to Clinton County coffers. So it is critical that we continue to pass this resolution.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you motion and second on that, sir?
Oh, I did not. I'm sorry. Yes, I did. Motion Timmons.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, second.
for your first meeting, Tim, I don't know if it's going to work out, Chairman.
Yes, it is. I know. Now she's done.
Resolution 355, authorizing contract with Economic Modeling LLC, DBA, MZ, Social Services, Employment and Training.
Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 356, authorizing contract with Saranac Central School District, Social Services.
Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator McGill. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 357, authorizing the legislative office to apply for 2020-2021 Snowmobile Trail Program Grant. Legislative office.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 358, authorizing contract with Healthy Incorporated, Health Department.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator McGill. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 359, authorizing Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES, Aging and Disability Resource Center Grant Application and Acceptance, Office for the Aging.
Motion legislator Conroy, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 360, approving backfill of permanent full-time supervising public health educator, Health Department.
Motion legislator Castine, second legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 361, approving backfill of temporary full-time summer youth counselor position, Social Services.
Motion legislator Hall, second legislator Rosenquist. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Carried. Resolution 362, approving backfill of a permanent part-time registered professional nurse, Sheriff's Department.
Motion legislator Timmons, second legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Carried. Resolution 363, approving reclassification of vacant full-time motor equipment operator mechanic position up to an equipment and building mechanic with backfill solid waste.
Motion legislator Castine, second legislator Hall. Discussion.
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I know the entire package of personnel resolutions result in a savings to the county of approximately $27,000. This resolution and the following resolution are fully paid for by Casella, and I believe the resolutions dealing with the county are COVID related.
Thank you, they are, yes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 364, approving backfill of permanent part-time labor position, solid waste.
Motion legislator Rosenquist, second legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 365, authorizing aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle and personal protective equipment grant application, Plattsburgh International.
Motion legislator Hall, second legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
I'm sorry, Chairman, under discussion, and I know Chris Craig is on the line, so if I butcher this, please help me, but in addition to the Airport CARES Act grant, which should assist us in operational funding, there was a second piece of good news that the federal government was picking up state and local shares of projects, and I believe Resolution 365, 366, and 367, you will note no local share associated with those projects, and that is because those local shares were being absorbed by the federal government.
What is that usually, like 80-20?
It is normally 80-10-10. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Correct, Chris?
No, it's actually 90% federal, 5% state, 5% local.
95-5? Okay. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, Chris, you don't have to correct me, Chris.
Yeah. We wouldn't have known.
Who asked?
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 366, authorizing reconstruction of runway 1735, pavement and lighting phases 2 and 3, construction, reconstruction of runway 1735, pavement phase 4, construction, grant application, Plattsburgh International.
Motion legislator Hall, second legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 367, authorizing reconstruction of taxiway B, pavement, and general aviation apron design grant application, Plattsburgh International.
Motion legislator Hall, second legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 368, awarding bid for tack coat, Highway Department.
Motion legislator McGill, second legislator Conroy. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 369, awarding bid to supply and deliver coarse rock salt and treated salt, Highway.
Motion legislator McGill, second legislator Potiker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 370, awarding bid for joint and crack sealing with asphalt cement, Highway.
Motion legislator McGill, second legislator Timmons. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 371, authorizing the county treasurer to establish a capital project titled Exit Lane Modifications Project, Plattsburgh International.
Motion Legislator Hall, second Legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 372, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Upstate Quality Improvement and Caseload Reduction Grant Assigned Council.
Motion Legislator Timmons, second Legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 373, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Adirondack Foundation Grant District Attorney's Office Child Advocacy Center.
Motion Legislator Timmons, second Legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. I'd like a motion to waive Rule 13.2. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Legislator Hall. May I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Legislator Potiker. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 374, authorizing lease agreement with Exelon Power Labs LLC, Plattsburgh International.
Motion Legislator Hall, second Legislator McGill. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried. Resolution 375, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act CARES Grant Board of Elections.
Motion Legislator Timmons, second Legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 376, resolution calling on the state of New York to release enhanced federal Medicaid matching funds to counties in New York City. Legislature.
Motion Legislator Timmons, second Legislator Hall. Discussion.
You do 5-5 on that, Mr. Chairman. That's
Well,
very important.
that's why I was looking at you. Yes. I'd like to do 5-5 on this. This is the FMAP money that needs to be sent to the states.
No, it's been sent to the state.
Or the states are releasing it
The
to
states
us.
need to send it to us.
Yeah, exactly. So may I have 5-5 on this? Legislator Hall?
Yes.
Legislator Perrier?
Yes.
5-5. Roll call.
All in favor.
I'm sorry?
Just all in favor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Just did 5-5. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hopefully nobody sees how we did 5-5. Carried.
Resolution 377, authorizing Clinton County to apply for a permit for the use of the SUNY Fieldhouse as a poll site. Board of Elections.
Motion Legislator Rosenquist, second Legislator Waldron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 378, approving determination of seeker Type 2 action and NEPA categorically excluded action for the Community Development Block Grant Planning Department.
I don't have Resolution 378, sir.
That would be Chris
Yep.
and a second.
Second by Simmons. Motion by Legislator Rosenquist, second by Legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is that the last one?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, take care of the resolutions.
So, Mr. Chairman, we received an email during the meeting, which I handed my phone to Jackie. So, in addition to the sale and lease of real property, we have a matter of potential litigation to discuss this evening in executive session.
Okay, so we will have two topics then. I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session. May I have a motion?
So move.
So moved.
Motion by Legislator Cathine, second by Rob. Thank you. Second by Legislator Timmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
David, are we?
We are moving to executive session. Give us a minute. All right, we're out of executive session.
Nothing else to do.
We do have something else to do?
No, I've got nothing.
Okay, so we can go home?
You can, if you give them, well, technically,
You
you're
give
gonna
me
tell me that
permission to tell?
you're gonna tell me that you don't need to get that.
Okay, does anybody have anything else for the good of the order? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I have a
Second.
motion, and I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Goodbye.
Good night, now.
Say goodbye.